Naturias are finally good. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Drew YGO back with another deck profile, and today we're doing Naturias. But you already knew that. Naturia's got some new support in the form of Naturia Camellia and Naturia Mole Cricket, along with a new quick play spell card that allows them to synchro summon during your opponent's turn, special summon from the hand to graveyard, or fusion summon. They've gotten an incredibly good amount of consistency now with these new cards, so we're going to go ahead and get into the deck list. We are using a bunch of OCG cards, but this is mainly just to show off the new support. It is a 60 card deck if you guys haven't noticed yet, but so I'm just going to go through this kind of quickly and explain what they do very fast. But first off, we got 3 copies of Kshatriya La Fenrir. This can get rid of your opponent's problematic cards by banishing them. We've got 1 copy of Bamboo Shoot to lock your opponents out of spells and traps. We've got 3 Horn Needle, which contribute another Naturia in itself to negate a special summon. We got Naturia Mantis, which allows you to send a Naturia monster from the hand to the graveyard to destroy a normal summoned monster. We got Naturia Cliff, 3 copies. When it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special a level 4 or lower Naturia monster from your deck. We got 3 Pumpkin. When this card is normal summoned while your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon a Naturia from your hand. Then we got the 3 Naturia Camellia. This is one of the new cards. I will read its effect in its entirety, just so I can kind of let you know how cracked this card is. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a Naturia card from your deck to the graveyard. If you would tribute a monster or monsters to activate a Naturia monster's effect, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard instead. If your opponent normal or special summons a monster or monsters, you can special summon a Naturia monster from your graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, it used to be Naturias had to tribute themselves and you would lose a lot of advantage to get their effects going. But now cards like Sunflower, which can negate any monster effect, and cards like Horn Needle, which can negate any special summon, are now viable, because if you've got one of these cards and Camellia out on the field, you don't actually have to tribute them, you just send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. This is a hard once per turn though, which is unfortunate, but we do have other cards which kind of remedy this a little bit. We've got 2 copies of Marron. You can send back your Naturias from your graveyard back into your deck for some little bit of recycling. 2 Fruit Fly, because if you get 2 of these out on the field while you got a full board of monsters, all of your opponent's monsters will go down to 0 attack and defense. 2 Rose Whip. Floodgate, your opponent can only activate 1 spell or trap each turn. 2 Stink Bug to negate attacks and end the battle phase. 3 Ash Blossom, because it's pretty obvious. 3 Sunflower to negate an activation of a monster effect. Quick effect, by the way, and not once per turn. Very important. 2 Antjaw to special summon from the deck every time your opponent special summons. And now we got the second new card, Naturia Mole Cricket. During the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card, special summon a Naturia monster from your deck, or if your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, even if tied, you can special summon 2 instead. If your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, or you special summon a Naturia monster from the extra deck, while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card. So let's kind of go over this a little bit. So you can use this during your opponent's turn to tag out and then special summon 2 Naturias if they do control a monster with high attack, or higher attack than your own, which is pretty easy because a lot of the Naturias don't have very high attack. So you can actually go +2 off of this. No, it would actually be +1 because you do have to tribute it. Or do you? Because we do have Naturia Camellia, which means that you can replace its tributing cost by just sending the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And then you can go straight up +2 off this effect, special summon 2 from the deck. And the way I like to use it personally is during my turn, I don't use the cost replacement effect. Send it to the graveyard, then I can synchro summon one of the Naturia monsters using Camellia, and then I can special summon Mole Cricket back to use it on my opponent's turn. So That's how I kind of like to use it, but it does offer a lot of really good recursion and a lot of really great special summoning, because you don't actually have to tribute it if you have Camellia out on the field. Alright, so let's go to the spells and traps. We got a 1-for-1 to get one of your level 1s out on the field, particularly your Mole Cricket. We got Raigeki, blow up your opponent's board. Harpy's Feather Duster, blow up your opponent's spells. We got 2 Pot of Desires because this is a 60 card deck and we're playing a lot of 3 of, so the likelihood of hitting one of the cards that you don't want to be hit is pretty low. Normally I don't really like this card, it's a bit of a hot take, but we do have a gigantic amount of cards in this deck, so 2 Pot of D is pretty good. 3 Foolish Burial Goods for your Naturia Sacred Tree, because it does get the search off if it's sent to the graveyard. 2 Pot of Avarice, because you're going to have a lot of cards in your graveyard. Like, I mean a lot of cards in your graveyard, so gotta have this to shuffle them back in if you have some pieces that you want to summon again and you don't have a way to get them out of the graveyard. We got 2 Pot of Avarice, 1 Called By, 3 Forbidden Droplet, and third up, and finally, for the new cards, we have Naturia Spring Breeze. Not once per turn, by the way. You can activate one of these effects, special summon a Naturia monster from your hand or graveyard. Immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using monsters you control, including a Naturia monster, or fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion materials, including a Naturia monster. So, finally, there is, I guess, kind of an archetypal polymerization, because going into Exterio used to be quite difficult, but now with this card, Exterio becomes a lot easier to bring out, and with the other cards, it becomes even easier. So, great card, again, not once per turn, so you can use multiple copies of this in the same turn. We've got 2 Naturia Forests. We're not running the Terraforming because this card isn't terribly important. You're going to be adding a lot of cards from your deck to your hand anyway, and you might get some in the graveyard and the Naturia Forest won't be able to go off, but we do have the 2 just in case you open up with it. Having it out on the field is not a terribly bad thing. And the only traps we're running is Naturia Sacred Tree, because if it's sent to the graveyard, you can get a search going, or if you've got it out on the field, you contribute an Earth Insect, special summon an Earth Plant, or you can contribute an Earth Plant, get an Earth Insect. So, good way of just kind of special summoning from the deck, but that's mainly not how you're going to be using it. You're going to want to get it into the grave with things like Foolish Burial Goods, or even Camellia can send it with her own effect. So, that's why we're running the 3 there. For the extra deck, we've got Naturia Exterio, 2 Baron de Fleur, 1 Vermilion Dragon Mech, 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon, 1 Black Rose Dragon, 3 Barkion, 3 Naturia Beast, 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn. So without further ado, we're going to get into some duel replays. Like I said, guys, Naturia is finally good, and I'm so excited about it. If you've got any questions on what you can replace, if you want to bring this into real life, if you don't have the $400 for Baron de Fleur, you could put in maybe like a Satellite Warrior or something. But let me know in the comments what you guys liked about the deck profile, what you guys would take out, what you guys would put in. And this has been Drew YGO. Until next time.